Bam, back with another episode of the Leaders of Leaders podcast. I've got a repeat visit because this man is making moves. Actually, no, what attracted me is this man is prioritizing God, he's prioritizing family, and he's taking dominion in the workspace and workplace. So that's pretty radtastic. Matthew Chenard, thanks for hopping on the show. He is a business and leadership mentor. He helps business owners like yourself increase their effective hourly rate so they can increase business profits without sacrificing their personal lives and, shall I say, Christian walk.
Yes, I'm really glad to be here, Aaron. It's been a while. Excited to chat all things business, God, family.
Yeah, I've just been impressed. Obviously, your consistency is something that's been around for a while. So if one were to only be impressed with that, then I should have been impressed a long time ago. I'm much more impressed with the unapologetic way you're saying that you're prioritizing God, that you're saying that you're prioritizing your family. And so before we get too deep into that stuff, because I think that you're going to have a ton of value to bring to the listener, but let's talk a little bit about your relationship to Christ. So how did you come to submit, bend the knee to the ruler of all of heaven and earth, Jesus
Yeah,
Christ?
yeah. It's been a while since I shared this story. We used to share this on a hockey team I was a part of. I played in a college, a Bible school, but I digress. I was born and raised in a Christian home, and kind of, I would say most Christian homes are like, it's this testimony. Round five, asked Jesus in my heart, that whole spiel. But I never really understood what this meant um, in a meaningful way. I'd read my Bible, go to church. I would say I was a Christian, but I didn't really understand this in a deeper level until probably 2018, 2019. Like I would still read my Bible, still go to school. I went to Bible college, did all the right things a Christian should, but it took me a while to understand what it meant to be a Christian. Not that I can earn my salvation, but I think there was
Yeah.
a sanctification process in this to say, hey, we might lose our business, our gym, right? We might lose our gym business. Um, we went heavy six figures in debt because we had to save the gym business and take on loans to keep it going, do payroll. My wife, who spent 10 years working in the healthcare industry and spending 4 years and money in getting education for it, lost her job. And we had wanted to start a family sooner than we did. So this all happened. And I like to think I would say I'm a visionary, a dreamer. I like to say, hey, let's figure this out. There's a way to figure it out. But there was mornings where I thought to myself, we have one more week max. And I don't know what to say to the team. I don't know what to say to Jaleesa. I don't even know what to do. I wouldn't even know if getting a normal job would do anything because we had to take on so much debt to float the business. So that was a submission and understanding. Okay, I finally understand what it means that none of this is mine. Like I can work hard, I can be diligent, consistent, and do everything I possibly can to build a strong business, to be a good husband. But at some point, like I'm so powerless in that. So I think there was a surrendering, and I wouldn't say it was a surrendering and then it was a constant feeling of peace. It was a
Mhm.
surrendering each and every day, like
Yeah.
seeing God provide at the right time, at the perfect time, and then reminding myself, go to the Bible and see, like, oh, Israelites, whoever else, all these stories of redemption and like, hey, no, you broke your covenant, the broke covenant. I'm going to keep my promise and all these things. So accepted Christ when I was five, but the relationship has been deepening exponentially, I would say, in the past 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's incredible. And you're the glory of the boring testimony, right? Like, but it never, I say that because I've heard that somewhere and I really liked it. I was like, oh yeah, the glory of a boring testimony. But
Mm,
the interesting part is those are never boring either, right?
yeah.
Because there is all like this is life. And God doesn't write a lame adventure. You know what I mean?
No.
Like if you're, especially if you have submitted to the authority of Jesus Christ and our triune God, um, I'm telling you right now, there's going to be some trials. There's going to be
Yeah.
there's what will be easy is for you to just kind of do the thing that you see other people doing, whether you think it's right or wrong or whatever. It's doing the thing that's going to give you the least amount of resistance.
Yeah.
But in the end, ultimately in the end, but also in the end, oftentimes in this life, like that leads to far more resistance,
Yeah.
right? Far more problems, um, far greater problems
Yeah.
that then you're gonna have to fold like a lawn chair to those, and ultimately, that's not a great place for us to be. And what an incredible time for us to live in. What an adventure
Yeah. Yeah.
that we get to partake
Absolutely.
in.
Well, I had a Bible study group with some men here in town, and we were talking a little bit about this. And when Paul talks it, I think it was Paul when he's talking about consider it joy, like consider actually in James, right? Consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds, because you know the testing of your faith develops perseverance, develops um, something like that. Someone will pull their Bibles and read it up.
I
But
mean, I know. I'm
basically,
like, oh, should I look it up
yeah,
or?
I can't. It's such a hard thing to understand. But when you start to realize that everything we pursue in this life, if we put it above God, we're not like we can't possibly get what we want out of it that only God can give us, right?
Mm,
Like
that's right.
he's created everything, all the good things come from him. But if we elevate it to a level of God and we say, this is finally going to be like, if my business could just be successful, if we could just get out of debt, if we could just have this perfect marriage, and if all these things, but then you reach this and then you still feel empty. And then to consider, oh, I should be joyful when I face trials because he's refining me. He's refining me so that I have the fruits of the spirit, the fullest extent I could possibly have here on earth. And I'm not going to be dependent. I can still be successful. And I challenge people who think, hey, I don't want to be successful in business. I don't want to try to grow a business. I think you can still grow a business and be successful, but just don't elevate it above God
Yeah,
and
that's
know
right.
that it could be gone like that. And do you know who you are if that were to disappear?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's totally my story. It's like I had money, I had friends, I had, you know, a bunch of likes, whatever. Uh and I had no contentment. And
Yeah.
then I lost a bunch of that and I had more contentment than I had ever experienced in my entire life. And the only thing that was different is that I was rebelling against God prior and I had submitted to God. That was it. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Is like because we're beings that we can't help but worship. We're worshiping beings. That's what we do. So we will worship
Yeah.
whatever it is. And if you're not worshiping the one that is worthy of worship, well, then you're worshiping something that's not worthy of worship, and you're wondering why there is so much discontented feeling, right, from that, or chasing, uh, chasing that dopamine hit or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
um, okay, so speaking of chasing dopamine and
Yeah.
earning dopamine,
Yeah.
right? That's a tagline of yours. So then jump into this. Let's jump into the business side just a little bit. What does it mean to earn your dopamine? How is it different than the minor and surfacey dopamine hits that we do get when somebody likes our comment, or we scroll and we see something with some glimmer of shiny entertainment on our socials, um, or drugs, or I mean, you can.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of these false. It is dopamine, but it's like this false hit, right?
Yeah.
What are you talking about when you say that?
So I actually kind of, I've been thinking of this analogy for a while, but everyone knows, I should say everyone, hopefully everyone knows that junk food is not good for your body. I still enjoy junk food every
That's
once in a
right.
while. I had some chocolate covered almonds in the afternoon today because I really
Wait, that's
enjoyed them.
junk food?
Yeah, well,
Uh-oh.
maybe it's dark chocolate, dark chocolate. But if I think of activities in my life that give me a quick hit of dopamine and it feels good, but then I'm left feeling empty so quickly. But I can also consume so much of that dopamine, right? Like
Mm,
scrolling, Netflix, gossip, name anything. Like think of
yeah.
that thing
Money.
that you could do, yeah, money, you could do all day or in the macro level, you could just keep pursuing, but never feel satiated
Yep.
and feel empty after you get that hit.
Mm,
That's like that quick dopamine response. And then when I think of nourishing food, it has the nutrients in it that you are satiated when you eat it. You are
mm.
full when you eat it, and you can't actually eat that much. You can eat a lot of steak, but not to the extent you could eat a bunch of Oreos, right? Because it's nutrient, there's a lot of nutrients, it fills you up, and it takes
Sleeves
some
on
time to
sleeves on
prep.
sleeves of Oreos right here.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I love them so much. And I think within reason, that's okay, but that it's addictive.
Yeah.
And if you're prepping your steak, you're prepping this healthy meal, you're partaking with friends, it's filling. You don't
Mm,
need to search for more. And that's what I think about. It's what are those activities? Getting outside in nature, you can't do that forever. And you feel full, you feel good after getting on a podcast, talking with friends, getting in the cold plunge, which has a 250% increase in dopamine, where cocaine has the same increase, but it's 9 minutes compared to hours.
yeah.
And there's a resistance in front of all these things. Like there's times where Jaleesa and I we're trying to break the habit of just going in front of the TV and watching TV.
Yeah.
It's nice to relax, but then I feel so much better, so much more connected with Jaleesa and just sleep better if I
Yeah.
read or connect. But there's a
Yeah.
resistance to doing those things.
Yeah.
So it's doing the hard thing and earning that dopamine, have some resistance in front of it.
Yeah. It's so crazy. The case in point, last night, my wife went off to go to Disneyland to celebrate a birthday for a friend today at like 2 in the morning or whatever. But last night, we played a game together as a family. And then, of course, I pray for my kids. I read scripture to them. I read a story to them. And then go in. And then my wife and I spent like an hour and a half just talking,
Mm,
like vision casting and all of these things that we we've never really done a whole lot of it. And but recently we have, trying to flex that muscle. And I was, even though I lost some sleep, it was such a better night of sleep, such a better day yesterday, and such a better day today from that 1 hour, 2 hour, really intimate quality time together, and
mhm.
man, you're so right. And it's so much easier to go click and just turn on the
Yeah.
TV. And I just want to laugh. And not that those things are bad either, right? Just like an Oreo or a three or a sleeve is
Yeah.
not horrible.
Right.
But if you do sleeves on sleeves on sleeves all
Yeah.
day, every day, man, yeah, you're gonna look like crap. You're gonna feel like crap. It is not going to be truly satiating, right?
Yeah.
In
And
the fullest, most robust sense of the term.
it's such a slow poison too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right? It just lures you in and you
Mm.
get comfortable. And this morning, I kid you not, I spent 15 minutes basically looking outside at my cold tub. Like, why? Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And I even know how good I feel after.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I
Yeah,
was
you've done it
much
for
more,
7 years. Like, of course, if anybody knows, this guy knows.
yeah. And it's still super difficult. And I just, in my mind, like, I could just sit on the couch and scroll my phone for a while. Like, I've done this enough. I don't need to do it again. I don't need to prove anything. One day's not going to hurt. Um, but it's the continuing in your relationships, in your physical fitness, all these things, overcoming that friction.
Yeah.
And I think it's just about making it easy on yourself, set guardrails, create accountability so that you're not reliant on your, um, not discipline. There's another word for it, but
Motivation.
yeah, motivation,
Yeah.
willpower.
Willpower. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then that's a perfect segue into kind of talking, some of the business stuff that you do, but even the prioritization, because it's give us this day our daily bread. That's the Lord's Prayer. That's what Jesus Christ said
Mm,
for us to pray, right? And obviously, leaders of leaders is understanding that Jesus Christ, although he's Lord of Lords, he's also King of Kings, which means he's also leader of leaders,
right,
right? The
right.
leader of all leaders. And so let's look to him. And he says, "Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us." And lead us not into temptation, but it's that daily bread, it's that daily submission, right? And I know that that's a part of your cold plunge, and it's essentially like a ritual, it's a habit, it's a routine, it's a lifestyle for you, right?
Yeah,
At this point, we can say that because it's been 7 years. And have you been perfect? No, but it's been 7 years of consistency.
yeah.
I mean, 99% of those days are filled with this thing. Um, but what follows that is also, I know, scripture and prayer, right?
Mhm,
And so it's
mhm.
putting the right thing in place. And I've been known to say balance is bull crap. It's about priority. And I've been loving that I'm seeing that you're saying, no, look, there is a priority to these things. So talk me through. I'm the business owner. I'm a leader. I'm a guy that I'm the quintessential type A. Typically, they're going to be toxically masculine,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Um, or and if they're the quintessential, doer type A, then they're typically not going to be the beta. But we can also talk about the ditch on the other side too, right? And kind of folding like a lawn chair. So talk me through, instead of a toxic view of, you know winning the day, and the what is it? Oh shoot, I'm gonna screw it up. Coffees for closers, that whole thing, right?
Like, don't
um
work for me if you don't have a six pack type thing. Yeah.
yeah, and that we see all the time. So then how can we right that wrong yet still crush it in business? And I mean, yeah, is that because you've got right things right, because you haven't put business over God, but also I know that you have a family component and all that, and most people listening have at least wives, if not
Mhm.
families as well. Yeah, so talk me through like how you kind of etch that in.
Yeah. So I like that you said priorities. I have it. I did a post the other day, but it's on my board here. God, family, and then family is Jaleesa, Willa, like in that order, Jaleesa,
Yeah,
Willa,
yeah,
my immediate family, and then friends. And then I have a dotted line and it shows professional and fitness. I'm in a season in my life where I still need to prioritize professional because we're making up for the past 3 years
that's right.
of turbulence, but I still need to maintain my fitness. So everything below God and family, I've kind of had an epiphany this past week. I want my fitness and my professional life to add value to the kingdom, to add value to my family. So when I think about it, I can go to the extreme on my fitness too. And being in the fitness industry and being an athlete and my wife going through an exercise addiction, that's been a difficult thing to wrestle with. But there is too much. There's there's too much success, right? And
Yeah,
that's where it becomes an idol because
yeah,
if you're justifying spending 3 hours in the gym when you could spend half an hour of focused work and be in really good shape to be present with your family, feel good, and live longer, why are you spending more time? Right? If you're getting paid to be an athlete, if you're like, there's a reason behind it. But if you're not, why are you doing that? What are you trying to find in that? And if you're blindly chasing a metric in your business, let's say 2 million, 3 million, 1 million, whatever it is, because you think that's what you have to achieve, and then you start to justify sacrificing God and your family in the
Mm.
pursuit of this success that's going to change next year, someone's going to say, well, no, 10 million is actually the new thing you got to pursue.
Yeah, yeah. I
Then
think it is
you're,
actually.
yeah, is that the DECA? Is that the one now? But then everything's gonna get deprioritized. So I think there's a way you can still be really physically fit, be successful in business, but you need to set your priorities first, and you need to keep yourself accountable to your spouse, to a group of friends. And then what I do is kind of like the first fruits is I do my cold exposure because I'm way more focused. And once I've overcome that, I don't, it's that dopamine thing, right? I
Mm.
feel like I've
Yeah,
accomplished something. I don't want to scroll my phone. I don't feel
yeah,
lazy. I read my Bible. I actually pray in the ice tub because I'm way more focused. I do the Lord's Prayer. And then a little bit after, and then I do my devotions. And I'm not always getting everything off the pages I'm reading, but my identity is that I read my Bible every morning. I'm still
yeah,
in that moment. And then I do some
yeah,
content creation and then I start to build this out. And again, I'm not perfect in this,
yeah,
but I've created zones in my calendar, in my and rhythms in my year, so that as best as I possibly can, I can make sure I'm investing in my faith, my relationship with God, and my family, but I'm still trying to dominate in the business world and become really physically fit. But I
yeah,
have to make sure I'm auditing all these things that I can safely look in the mirror and say, did I deprioritize God or my family in the pursuit
yeah,
of these things? And there's going to be times where if it's make or break for the business, I might have the conversation with Jaleesa, like, I need to really invest in this week. Like there's
yeah,
seasons,
yeah, for sure.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but you're not doing it because you hate your family, or you're not doing it because you've abdicated your responsibility to your family either.
Mm.
It's because you are owning your responsibility to your family. And part of that is also, having I mean, right, the goal is that we can leave an inheritance to our children's children, as it says in
Yeah.
scripture, right? And then, but at what cost? What's the point of it? What does it mean to gain the whole world but lose your soul, right? And
Yeah.
I even think about that in the professional fitness and athletic world. It's like, yeah, if I get the reason why you're gonna train so hard, but what's the point if you lose your wife and you lose your children? Like, was that worth it? Like, I don't
Yeah.
think anybody's gonna be like, I'm so glad my wife is now not my wife and my kids hate me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
because I got $10 million. I'm
Right.
amazing. It's like, man,
Right.
you're a fool. You're an
Yeah.
idiot, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
really.
And then it's like, what are you avoiding?
Yeah.
Right? If you're over investing, and when I think of investing, I think time, money, and energy,
Yeah.
you're over investing. What difficult conversation are you avoiding with your wife, or what resistance there that that friction in front of good dopamine do
Yeah.
you need to challenge, and do you need to focus on growing your so here's an example I'd like to think about. We so easily see the work we need to put into our fitness, or our professional life in order for it to grow and flourish and
Yeah.
thrive.
Or a
But we don't,
tactical life.
yeah, yeah. But we don't often think about it in the same way as marriage, right? We think of it in, well, the new age kind of way of thinking of it is it's a feeling. I
Yeah.
fell out of love. No, it's a commitment. It's a
Yeah.
commitment to prioritize it above all and to do the work. And it's not always fun,
Hmm.
because you're two prideful, selfish people that need to be redeemed daily and need to die to yourself daily. And
Hmm.
one moment, me and Jaleesa will be like, yep, this makes sense. We're on the same page. We're pursuing each other. And the next day it's like, oh, what
What
happened?
happened? Yeah.
I'm human. Shoot.
The proverbial ish hits the fan. You're like, how did we get spackled with all of this
Yeah.
disaster right now? And that can
Yeah.
literally be true now that you have a baby girl. So
Yeah.
what just
Yes.
happened? Oh no, I got it
Yeah.
all over me.
Yeah. Yes, that happened. we may kind of made a deal. I will change Willow's diaper, and if it's a number two, I'll take care of it. But I I have a hard time handling it. I was gagging fiercely one day,
Really?
just struck. Oh yeah, I can do puke and everything else, but
Really?
I did it. I'm good. I earned my
I did.
dopamine.
I did it one time, and that is it. That's never.
Yeah.
It's never gonna happen again.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, so I wonder, I wonder what is there. I mean, is there testing? Is there so like you're bringing? I'm guessing mostly men, but any business owner, any business person in, right, and helping mentor them and help them out. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and and so is there? Are there like is there a test where you could kind of see where they're at? I know you talked just now and you said you're recently feeling convicted in that regard that, hey, is this building the kingdom of God? Is this building into my marriage? Is this building into my family? Um, is there a component to that prioritization? Because I'm guessing that some of these people are probably non-believers. They're secular minded. Even if they are believers, or maybe they're Christian in name only as well.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of that I think happens
Yeah.
as well. And so I don't know, is there like a testing or is it more like, hey, this is my experience. This is what I exude. This is what I do. Because some of these systems are going to be true whether they're Christian or not, right? Like
Hmm. Hmm.
prioritization, even, right? That's going to be true whether you're Christian or not. Now, I believe that Jesus Christ is the way, truth, and the life.
Yeah.
No one can come to the Father except through him. And so, like, what's the point of having everything else right if you don't have that? However, in business, if you're helping people in business, that's a way to walk out the dominion mandate,
Hmm.
that was there in the beginning and there again when, in Noah with Noah. So, yeah, how do you kind of tackle that? What happens? How do you figure out kind of where they're at and then give them some trajectory or some, hey, let's tweak these priorities or yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, principles. And so I don't measure as much anymore. And it's funny, I don't advertise that I help Christian business owners, but most of my clients are Christian business owners and men.
Yeah.
Um, and it just kind of happened like that. I used to be more life coaching and purpose, and I struggled with that, not because I wasn't helping people, but if someone didn't believe that Jesus was the way to true fulfillment and to their salvation, there would become a point where it just got stuck, right? I couldn't go any further other than saying you need Jesus. Um, but which, yeah, then that's the conversation we would have. But when in the business sense, I also want to measure. So there on my left shoulder, if people can't, or my right, yeah, left shoulder, there's a business airplane. So Donald Miller, he has a business coaching certificate that he
Yep.
recently took, and there's 6 different components to it: leadership, products and services, cash flow, marketing and sales, and operations and overhead. That's the business component. Then I think in life, there's mental, physical, spiritual, relational, and professional.
Mm,
And that's the holistic outlook on it. And it's not to say that by investing in reading my Bible, that's going to make me a Christian or that's going to earn me salvation.
yeah.
It means that I need to have priorities set out, that I'm investing in these things. And I need to say, hey, if my professional life on this Fit 5 investing system is a 10, but my relationship with my wife is a 2, and my spiritual fitness is a 1, we need to reevaluate that. Because again, like you said, if you're really successful in business, but you have no one to share that with, right? Like we're all trying
Yeah.
to buy something. We're trying to buy power or influence or whatever else it is. But in reality, we just want love. We want connection. We want intimacy. We want relationship, which the fullest of that can only come from Jesus.
Yeah.
But you can still have tastes of that in a really good marriage.
Mm,
But if you're sacrificing your marriage in the pursuit of your business or your fitness or whatever it is, it's not worth it because no one's going to be there when you reach that 10 million, 20 million, whatever it is. and you justified that as a reason to provide for your family.
Yeah. Yeah. That's super good. I was like, oh, I want to push back on this buying power and influence. Uh,
Mm.
do you have any thoughts on why that has become a such an invasive or pervasive lie or deception that somehow your life is going to be better when you have more money or when you have more power or when you have more influence? Do you have any thoughts on that? Because obviously you're living out not that, right? You're living out a prioritization that puts first things first, God, right? If God indeed created, sustained, and redeems this, then there should be no other worship direction than that. If I'm worshiping Him, then an intrinsic output of that is going to be a healthy marriage, a marriage that's reconciled to Christ, which means
Mhm.
that I'm going to be sanctified. My wife's going to be sanctified. Our marriage is going to be sanctified all the time. It's going to go through its own trials, tribulations, but purification and sanctification and so on and so forth. Then that happens with children and it happens. So everybody, you said it just like the world says it, right? Like everybody wants to buy something, power, influence, whatever. Um, we're all out for something. Where do you think that comes from? What do you think that where do you think that drive is? Is it our innate rebellion to God,
Yeah,
or is it what is that?
I think we all know there's, right? Like everything good comes from God, right? Like intimacy, um, beauty, um, all these things. But we continually try to search or seek cheap versions of it because we don't know that this is an infinite thing that we can't satiate in this world. And I think on social media, as an example, it's just pushed on us. It's
Mm.
pushed on us. It's pushed on us. And so I'm at 53,000 followers or something like that. I'm like, I've had some more business from it, but nothing's really changed in terms of I'm not happier.
Yeah.
I have more influence, which that's more responsibility on me.
Mhm.
And but saying that, well, maybe if I got to 1 million or I got to 2 million or 100,000, then that's the point where I'm gonna fill that gap or that hole that if I'm a Christian, I know I can't fill, but I still kind of pursue it. And I still kind of wonder, like, no, I think this might be the thing. But if I'm not a Christian, I'm left to thinking that all these influencers or really successful people on the internet saying, you just gotta grind, you just gotta work, you just gotta meditate your way out of this or whatever else. It's really just confusing. And that's why I have to keep reminding myself, and I intentionally remind myself to post about God, even if there's a little friction inside of me, and to keep Christ first at the top of my profile. Even if I said, well, if I put business and leadership mentor at the top, I might get more sales. But that even that temptation to me is a little bit scary because I know as I gain more influence and I could start to justify and be like, well, this might get me more, this might get me more. But I think once I get to that point, that's where it becomes a little frightening to me because I've started to justify a reason not to share. Or I could say, I'm going to share my faith once I reach
Mhm.
100,000 because then I have some room to play with. If I lose 10,000 followers because I share my faith, that's not as big a deal. Um, so that's why I'm not perfect, and I'm not saying that I'm just this super disciplined, perfect Christian. I have
But
to
you
remind
are.
myself,
No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, nailing it, don't struggle at all. And that's what I do, and I want to share more of the real side of it without getting too
Debbie
like I don't
Downer
want,
or whatever.
yeah, like I don't
Yeah.
want people to be like, well,
No,
Matt's posting again.
I'll say from my perspective, you've done an incredible job of that. Like kind of sharing, dude, the ice was too thick this morning. That was stupid. I'm gonna have to do a cold shower, and
Yeah.
that's not what I want to do. This is the season to do this. cold plunge this way, but today it's just not going to happen. And just being real, it's like, oh, whoa, he is real. He isn't a cyborg, so it
Well,
is
and
good.
even that video you're talking about, I had this feeling in my gut. I was like, oh, I messed up. I missed.
Yeah.
I should go back out there. But as soon as I felt that, that's not from God. That's not like, why do I need to go back out there? Is it
Yeah.
because I need to impress people? I need to make sure that I don't fail. Um, so I get that feeling still, and I have to talk myself through that. And when I was super into, I'm still into fitness, but in an unhealthy way,
Yeah.
if I missed a workout, it would just, my gut
Yeah.
would hurt, right? And it becomes an idol. And I think that's where you need to
That's
stop
right.
and think, ooh, this is dangerous territory.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, because that's in his 10 commandments. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. And you're putting another that's literally blasphemy. That's literally against God. You are rebelling
Yeah.
against God because you've put that idol in front and I think you explained it in business, but I think you nailed what has been problematic with the American and the Canadian church at large. It's they've lost Christ to gain followers, right?
Mm,
It's like, what just happened? Like the only reason why you ought to exist, you have removed so that you get followers. Where you said like, oh, I'll remove my Christ first and put business
yeah.
first so I can make more. But then that's the slippery slope, right? It's like, oh, well, I'll attract people in with this business model like thing, and then we'll hit them on the side with Jesus Christ. It's like, no, no, no. It's Jesus Christ. That's it. Full stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And same thing in the Bible study this morning. I, if I'm called to teach, I'll teach, but I'm intimidated and almost afraid, especially with the following I have. That's a lot of responsibility, right? And
That's right.
and I think a lot of influential people, if you're not really grounded in where your identity is, and you can't look in the mirror and say, if I lost everything tomorrow, I'm still gonna be the same me, I'm still gonna share the gospel, then that's a scary place to be. And I think a lot of these platforms, it's a lot of responsibility to steward. And I'm grateful that I didn't grow my following around, like, I'm going to share the gospel, but I'm not teaching theology. I'm not teaching these things where I need to be super sure of what I'm teaching because, I mean, prosperity gospel, all these things that you're seeing now, which could be super misleading, and God can use whatever he wants to use
That's
in
right.
that still, right?
Yeah. I mean, Balaam's donkey, for instance.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
God can use an ass, literally. Even
Yeah.
and an ass hat if you're one. I
Yeah.
apologize.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to put explicit on this or go back and edit that. I think I'm allowed to say that. I don't know.
I
Maybe.
think so. I think that, well, it's in the Bible. It's in some of
It's true.
the hymns in
That's
church.
right.
So I
That's
remember
right.
kids like laughing.
Oh, we said
Oh,
it, guys.
yeah, we did it. Were we allowed to say that?
That's funny.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, that's really good. That is really good. So, what's new for you? What's coming up? And where should people go? Because I hopefully we've jarred enough people and given them enough value where they're like, ah, yeah, I, I like well, I want to take dominion
Mhm.
to glorify God in my business. So how can I do that better? What is there a certain website that they should go to? Should they click on something? Should they watch a series of videos or what do you have in store? And then what's coming up for you?
Perfect. So mattchenard.com, I made it easy now. Mattchenard.com is the website to go to. That's for my business coaching. At Matt Chenard is my Instagram. I share pillars that are important to me: faith, family, fitness, business, and leadership and mindset. And how I help people is I want to help business owners succeed in business. I want them to help be profitable, to build impactful businesses without sacrificing anything else. And to do that, you need an operating system. So I specialize in the leadership and productivity and management portion of the airplane, let's call it. And I do that by helping people develop an operating system. And there's a lot of pieces to this operating system, including mindset and discipline, calendars, rhythms, all these things. I've been working on this for 4 years. But here's an example I like to think about. If your effective hourly rate, so if you say, I make X amount per month, I divide that by how many hours I work, this is how much my time is worth. Let's say your time is worth $100 an hour and you waste 2 hours a day on cheap dopamine, as an example. You
Yeah.
add that up, right? It's not an exact math or it's not an exact equation, but even if
Yeah.
it's 50% of that, think
Yeah.
of how much time you're wasting, 2 hours time. So it's like 100 and some hours a year, right? You're wasting $10,000 right there, roughly. So someone can comment if on the YouTube video or whatever else and tell me exactly what it is. But even 2 hours a week, 2 hours a week, you're wasting close to $10,000. So that's what I
Yeah.
help people do is stop wasting your time because it's not renewable. You
Yeah.
can figure out principles of money and make more money, but time is not renewable. So you need to be super intentional about how you invest your time, money, and energy each and every day because you can't make more of it. And we don't know how long we have on this earth. So if you say, I'm going to pursue that thing, I'm going to pursue my wife, I'm going to pursue my spouse, my children tomorrow, once this is taken care of, you might not have tomorrow.
That's right.
So if you're someone who's looking to level up in all areas of life without sacrificing one, feel free to reach out.
Yeah. And the best time to have started that was 20 years ago, friends.
Yes.
The next best time, right now.
Yeah.
Get down in them show notes,
Yeah.
click the dang link and get after it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's the adage about, planting an oak tree or planting a tree or whatever. Best time was, 40, 60, 80 years ago when that tree would be beautiful and you'd be able to sit under its shade. The next best time, because that
Doesn't
time
know.
doesn't exist, homie. That's gone.
Yeah.
Past
Yeah.
is gone right now. Do it right now. Yeah, and stop
I
thinking
like the
that
analogy.
tomorrow's your savior. That's
Mm,
ridiculous.
hmm.
Tomorrow has never been anybody's savior.
Yeah.
It's
And
a
I'm
lie from Satan.
and you know me, Aaron. We've
Yeah,
met in person, we've been around each other. I'm not someone who gets fired up, but this actually fires me up. I'm so passionate about it. I'm confident to speak on it.
yeah.
And
I'll be your hype man any day.
yeah, yeah, there you go. And I should also say I'm creating a community right now. It's $29 a month to just give resources, give calls that people can
Nice.
join if they can't afford my one-on-one mentorship.
Yeah. And
Business
what does
pack,
that look like?
business pack, it's called.
Yep.
And I have some business courses. I have a personal operating system built
Nice.
on a Excel sheet, and I have some AI stuff there that business owners can use to optimize their time. And I can keep building and building out there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And so then what are your hopes and dreams for the future?
My hopes and
Whether
dreams.
it's this or family or all of it or yeah.
I I have a vision, a dream that I want to pursue, but I'm finding out more. It's about the person you become in your pursuits. So
Mm.
this is the thing I would like to pursue. It's a huge, yeah, a huge place in the mountains where we live, but it's a place where people come for retreats. They come for fitness. There's a sauna, there's a spa, and people can just come and learn and grow, work out, whatever else it is. That's the ultimate pursuit for Jaleesa, my wife, and I. And that's what we're pursuing. And that's kind of in my head. That's what everything's adding up to, right? I'm training fitness, I'm training business. I want to become more, um, I understand theology better, understand apologetics, understand how to answer these hard questions. So that's the next period of this phase of my life is to dive deeper into the word so I can be more confident in that as I am confident in business and fitness methodologies.
Yeah, I love it. Where would that be at? Would it be in Alberta where you
I
all
think
are?
so.
Yeah.
It's more of a just kind of a picture of a piece of land close to the mountains, maybe even right on the side of the mountain. So if anyone has a piece of land that's listening, let's talk.
Please hit
Yeah.
them up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Man, I love it. I love it, Matt. And thanks again for hopping on the Leaders of Leaders podcast. Yeah, it's been too long. So I'm really glad that we got to chat in front of people and put good valuable things into ear holes. And yes, if you haven't already, you need to follow. If you're on Instagram, you need to follow. Is it Matthew Chenard or Matt Chenard?
Matt Chenard,
Matt Chenard.
Mattchenard.
Yeah, it's in the show notes. Click the link, follow him on Instagram. All it's been, man, it's been power packed these last few months. And truth be told, I was kind of off socials for a while, so it was probably power packed before that. I just wasn't, I just wasn't paying attention because I wasn't on there. But man, this past month or two has been fire,
Thank
just
you.
straight up amazing. Great content, really, really valuable, really, really helpful for just people with shifting their paradigms and mindsets and things like that. So get the real deal.
Appreciate
Click
that.
into mattchenard.com and get after it. Thanks again.
Love it. Yeah. Thanks for this time, Aaron. It's always a pleasure.